Donald Trump was on his way to a business meeting when a commotion on a busy street caught his attention. His car slowed down near a crowded corner where people were gathering. "Mr. Trump, something's happening over there," his driver said. Through the window, Trump saw a man surrounded by an angry mob. At the center of it was Samuel, a black worker, holding a bag in his hands. The crowd accused him of stealing, pointing fingers and shouting loudly. Samuel, desperate to defend himself, raised his voice. "This is mine. It's my paycheck from work. I didn't steal anything," he pleaded. But the mob wasn't listening. Their minds were clouded with prejudice, and their shouts drowned out Samuel's words. Trump watched the scene closely, his face stern. He turned to his driver. "Stop the car. I need to see what's going on here," he said firmly. As Trump stepped out of the car and walked toward the crowd, silence fell over the chaos. His presence was commanding, and people turned their attention to him in surprise. "What's going on here?" Trump asked, his voice calm yet authoritative. The crowd hesitated, exchanging nervous glances. Samuel looked at Trump, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and hope. Trump could see the truth in Samuel's eyes. "You're all rushing to judgment against this man," he told the crowd. "Is it fair to accuse someone without knowing the facts?" The crowd shuffled awkwardly, their earlier confidence faltering under Donald Trump's sharp gaze. Samuel, still clutching his bag tightly, took a deep breath. "I've worked hard for this money," he said, his voice trembling but resolute. "This is my paycheck. Nothing more, nothing less." A man from the crowd scoffed. "How do we know you're telling the truth? People like you, they always find a way to cheat the system." Trump's expression hardened. He took a step forward, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. "People like him? What exactly do you mean by that?" The man opened his mouth to respond but faltered under Trump's unwavering stare. Trump turned to Samuel. "Show me your paycheck," he said gently. Samuel hesitated for a moment, then slowly opened the bag to reveal a neatly folded envelope with his employer's logo clearly visible. Trump took the envelope and held it up for the crowd to see. "This is his paycheck," Trump announced firmly. "The man is telling the truth." The crowd murmured among themselves, their earlier accusations now replaced by uncertainty and guilt. Some looked down, avoiding Trump's piercing eyes. The man who had spoken earlier muttered, "Well, we didn't know for sure." "That's the problem," Trump interrupted. "You didn't know, but you assumed. You let prejudice guide you instead of facts. This man deserves respect, not baseless accusations." Samuel's shoulders relaxed slightly, though his grip on the bag remained firm. For the first time, he felt a glimmer of hope. Trump's defense was more than he had expected, and it was clear that the tide was beginning to turn. The tension in the air began to dissipate as Donald Trump's words resonated with the crowd. Samuel, emboldened by Trump's support, straightened his posture. "I've worked at the construction site down the street for 3 years," he said firmly. "Every week, I put in long hours to provide for my family. All I've ever wanted is a fair chance." A woman in the crowd looked at Samuel, her expression softening. "Maybe we were too quick to judge," she said quietly, prompting a few nods from others. Trump seized the moment to drive his point home. "Let me ask all of you something," he said, his tone calm but pointed. "What does it say about us when we rush to condemn someone without knowing the truth? This isn't just about Samuel. It's about the kind of community we want to be." He paused, letting his words sink in. The crowd was silent now, many visibly reflecting on their actions. Even the man who had been the loudest critic earlier seemed to shrink under Trump's gaze. Turning back to Samuel, Trump said, "You've shown incredible strength and patience. I admire that." He extended his hand, and Samuel hesitated for a moment before shaking it, a mixture of gratitude and disbelief on his face. Trump then addressed the crowd again. "Instead of tearing each other down, let's focus on lifting each other up. Samuel isn't just a man trying to make a living. He's a symbol of what's possible when hard work meets opportunity." The crowd, now visibly moved, began to applaud. Samuel glanced around, his eyes shining with a mix of relief and hope. For the first time that day, he felt seen and heard. The applause grew louder, echoing through the street. Samuel's face softened as he looked around, the weight of the morning's accusations slowly lifting. For the first time, he saw understanding in the eyes of the crowd. Donald Trump, standing beside him, gave a small nod of encouragement. "I'm not here to shame anyone," Trump began, his voice steady yet compassionate. "We've all made mistakes, and we've all judged too quickly at some point. But today, let this moment remind us to do better, to look beyond our biases and see the truth in each other." A young boy in the crowd, holding his mother's hand, spoke up. "Does this mean Mr. Samuel is a hero now?" The innocent question brought smiles to several faces, and even Samuel chuckled softly. Trump crouched down to the boy's level. "He's always been a hero," he said with a grin. "He works hard, takes care of his family, and stands tall even when things get tough. That's the kind of hero we should all look up to." The boy's eyes widened, and he nodded solemnly. Trump rose to his feet and turned back to the crowd. "It's up to us to create a community where everyone feels valued, where stories like Samuel's are celebrated, not silenced." As the crowd began to disperse, many approached Samuel to offer apologies and words of encouragement. The man who had been his harshest critic earlier stepped forward awkwardly. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice low but sincere. "I was wrong." Samuel hesitated before extending his hand. "Apology accepted," he replied, his voice steady. It was a simple gesture, but it carried the weight of forgiveness and hope. Trump placed a hand on Samuel's shoulder. "You're going to do great things, Samuel. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." As Trump returned to his car, the driver remarked, "That was quite a moment back there, sir." Trump smiled faintly. Sometimes all it takes is standing up for what's right. And with that, he drove away, leaving behind a community forever changed by the power of justice and unity. As the car disappeared into the distance, Samuel stood silently, clutching the envelope in his hands. The emotions of the moment overwhelmed him: relief, gratitude, and a renewed sense of purpose. What had started as another ordinary day filled with struggle had turned into something extraordinary. For the first time in years, he felt truly seen and heard. Around him, the crowd lingered, their faces no longer filled with judgment, but with reflection and understanding. Whispers of change rippled through the group, as if the weight of their earlier actions had finally dawned on them. People approached Samuel one by one, offering apologies and words of encouragement. It wasn't just about him anymore. It was about breaking the cycle of prejudice that had poisoned their community for too long. Samuel looked at the envelope, not just as proof of his innocence, but as a powerful reminder of resilience and the importance of standing up for what's right. Donald Trump's intervention wasn't just an act of kindness. It was a call to action, a moment that had sparked hope and accountability in everyone present. Walking away from the scene, Samuel felt a renewed determination. He wasn't just leaving as an innocent man. He was leaving as a symbol of what was possible when courage met justice. His steps were lighter, his heart fuller, and for the first time in years, he believed that brighter days truly lay ahead. And that's the end of our story. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next story. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.